This is not a normal youth group. You guys really are altered a little bit, and that's a privilege. That's awesome because there's a lot of normal youth groups out there, and they can do their thing in that. But you guys are stepping into something that's so much more. And I just thank you for that. I thank you for getting behind your youth pastors. Cody and Taylor are some special people. I think most of you probably know that already. I can tell you, I mean, there's some great youth pastors in the state. I've met a few, but hands down, this guy sought me out and said, we want to be a part of something bigger than Vincent, bigger than our group, even bigger than the state. We want to lock arms with you, and that's awesome. That's awesome. You guys are stepped up and doing it. And you're going to get a little bit of pieces and parts tonight. We're going to start out by praying right now. I'll tell you up front, I'm not a professional pastor or a salesman or anything like that, so I'm really scared sometimes what just might come out of my mouth. So I need God's help to make sure that it's probably okay that I offend you a little bit, right? So we need offended a little bit, right? But let's just ask the Lord to do what He wants to do this rest of this night. Father, we just thank you and praise you, Lord God. You're here in this place, Lord God. I thank you that Lord, you've come in, Lord, during this time of worship. This is your house. And Father, from the beginning, we want to honor you in everything that we do and say. Not just this night, but throughout this year. Lord God, I pray for each one in this room, from the youngest to the oldest, that you will unleash something in the heavens for each one tonight. Lord, whatever you need to use, say through me, Lord, use my mouth, Lord God, tonight. Whatever you need to do in the Spirit, Lord, whatever you need to do, and we may not even see it, but let it be unleashed, Lord God, on earth as it is in heaven. This is your place, Lord God. I pray for your healing touch on Cody tonight. Let him feel your strength coming up and out of him, Lord God. Fire in his belly. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father. We trust you tonight. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Yeah, I tell you, just being with you and worshiping and everything, I just got back from the jungle last week. I was able to go down for a couple of weeks. So it'd be very easy for me to go like a shotgun tonight because there's all kinds of incredible things going on. And then today, I allowed myself to see something today that I kind of almost wish that I didn't. It's okay, I'll explain. No, I invited this guy. What's he getting today? Even when I knew I knew what I was about to watch, and I went ahead and did it anyway. And how that timed it, I wasn't really sure, and still am not. But it was such a powerful image, and I don't encourage any of you to see it. But there was something that happened just within the last 24 hours. There's a group of people, you probably heard, ISIS or ISIL or whatever, who were bent on death, bent on destruction. And they made a pilot from Jordan that I guess crashed or whatever. They made him pay with his life just yesterday, I believe it was. And a lot of news outlets wouldn't put it on TV. Obviously, it was very, very graphic. And one news guy that I really respect wrote that on this thing. He goes, man, for respect to the family, I'm not going to show this. Respect for the life of this man. And then he came back a little bit later that day and said, you know what? We need to see it. We need to see it. We need to see the evil in the world. We can't just pretend it's not there. We can't just shut the TV off or know that it's happening, but it's happening way on the other side of the world. Sure. But you know what it is? It's the devil raising his head because he knows his time is short. That's right. He knows his time is short. And he's going to do everything he can to bring not only them down around the world, but even right here in this room. When I saw that, it was sickening. It showed them burning this man to death. And I watched it, and I just felt that I needed to see it, just to remind myself, this battle that we're in. Because it's a battle. We're not just in to make it from Wednesday to Wednesday, from Sunday to Sunday. Maybe go on to youth convention, have a great time, maybe go on a youth trip, maybe do a little bit for Sweet Life. Those things are all great. But we're in a battle, guys. We're in a battle. And what I saw today reminded me that that's what the devil wants to do to each one of us. I watched this man's flesh literally melt off his face. 5 in it, they're excited. And it's not to label them as bad. You know, we need to go bomb them. Of course, some of that rises up in us, doesn't it? It's like, man, let's take care of this. You know, let's do what we need to do. That's normal for us sometimes, right? But it's a spiritual thing. It's so much bigger than us or them or labeling a group. It's happening. And all that, I mean, plan on going there, but that's what we're about. That's what this is about. That's what Speed the Light's about. It's to speed the light. Think about what it says. Sometimes we say it, so many times we don't even think what it is. Speed the light. It means to get it there now, the light, because the road is darkening, darkening, darkening. You've got people who have never seen the light. Born, raised, and will die in complete spiritual darkness if we don't do something about it. And God's called us to be warriors. He's called us to jump in and fight. And it's not to go bomb somebody. It's not to go knock somebody out. It's the way we believe. But it's to see the devil for who he is. For who he is. And for years and years and years, the people that we work with, this is what they've been doing. This is their form of the same thing I just talked about this group burning this guy. They used to do this to their neighbors. They used to shrink the head. They're known as the head shrinkers, the Schwartz. Are you familiar with the Schwartz? We've been talking about it with a little box and that. A little bit?
Yes.
I'll explain to what you guys are helping out this year with Speed the Light. Is to speed the light, to get the light of the gospel into this dark, dark area of the jungle. For hundreds of years, the devil's tool to wrap them up, to have him under his thumb, has been fear. Fear. Simple fear. So what did they do with that fear? They'd kill. That was their control. That was their way, their warped way of thinking. I can control it. If I just kill it, I can control it. And that's what they would do. They would go kill the neighbor. Before the neighbor would kill them, they'd kill their neighbor and shrink the head, and then use it as a look, to ward off everybody else. And they would use it as a trophy. And it went back and forth. It's just like modern day gang, blood for blood, right? You hurt one mine, you took out one of mine, I'm going to take out 10 years. And it goes back and forth, back and forth. And that's what was happening in the jungle. The same thing that's happening today around the world. The devil was winning. He was taking his people out. They were killing each other. And the devil was laughing. And they were being born, living their whole life, and dying in complete darkness. That's what Speed the Light means. It's not just a word or STL. It means to get the light as fast as we can into the darkest corners of the world. It may be right here in your city. And I'll say that real quick. There's nothing exotic or special about where I am in the jungle, or me. It's just the place that's God put in me from the time I was a little kid, preparing me to go to places like that. And I was thinking about it today, some thought came to my mind about NASCAR. So any NASCAR fans? Talladega. You probably can hear Talladega from here, can't you? I didn't grow up a NASCAR fan, but I went to Landmore Speedway a couple years ago and I got hooked. Man, when it goes, they come across that line like that. You ever go down there? You ever feel that? And the wind from those cars, I mean, it is that, it's like a machine gun. And it just gets in you and it makes your spleen go like this. It's awesome. I encourage you. It's worth one time, maybe for your birthday or something. Get a ticket. Talladega Landmore Speedway. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you just got to go once. It's not just a redneck thing. It's something to see. But I say that, but you know what? Some of you may think today, well, if missions and Speed the Light is NASCAR, then our missionary is the driver. Would you think that? And I was thinking about that today. You know what? I'm not the driver. I'm on the pit crew with you guys. I'm just in there with you guys. Rolling up the sleeves, doing whatever we can to get this car ready for this race and to get it out there and get it across the finish line. Bottom line is, God's driving this car. He's got to be. He's got to be. It's his race. This isn't about, your pastor driving it or me driving it because I'm the missionary. There's nothing special about us. We're in this together. We're in this together. The Schwartz need you just as much as they need me. The only difference is God has called me to be on the ground there for this time. But for years and years and years, I was in the same seat you were. There's nothing different there. We're all in this together. We're all in this battle together. We got a job. We can be a part of it. That's what's awesome. That's what's awesome. When you see that race, you see those cars, you're a spectator, man, if you got anything in you, what you really want to do is you want to be down in the pits, man. You want to be as close to the action as you can. You want to be in that car. Or if it's football, you love football, anybody?
Let's go.
Where do you want to be? If you love football, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? You want to be on the field, don't you? There's only one place to be on when you love football. When you really love football, there's only one place to really be. And that's on the field. It almost just drives me crazy to even watch a game. Because when I'm watching it, I'm a spectator. I'm sitting there. I'm sorry, you guys are right on the front row, so I'm going to pick on you guys. But when you're on the field, does anybody play here? Anybody play? Man, when you're on that line, and it's go time, you come up out of that stance and you explode. You explode. You're going to knock the head off the guy in front of you. That's what you want to do. Is that right? Is that what you, or was I just wrong every time I went out there? I mean, you just wanted to, I mean, it was everything in you. You wanted to go. You wanted to, if you were a linebacker, you're going to get that ball. You don't care how big he is, how fast he's going, you're going to attack that ball. If you got the ball, you're going to do whatever you can to get it over that line. Whatever it takes. If you're on the line, you're going to explode out of that stance. And that's awesome. What's awesome about being a Christian is because when I read the Bible, what it says is that we're in this. We're in this race. We're on the field. We're not spectators. There's a lot out there who are, with the name Christian on them. But if we're Christian and we're Christ-like, let's look to our leader. Was he a spectator? Man, he was getting it done. He was getting it done. It didn't matter what was going on. It didn't matter how busy he was or how many people were waiting on him. He was on the front line. He was in the game. He was doing it. He was getting it done. When I look at that, I was like, man, that's what he's called each one of us to be. Is to be there. Is to be doing it. In our own different ways. You may think, man, I'm not there yet. I'm only 14 years old. I'm going to tell you what you're doing at 14. How many 14 here? I don't know, picking on that age. You're doing stuff. Speed light is a great connection because it's connecting you with some of the deepest, darkest places around the world. Let me tell you a tale of two teenagers. I don't have pictures of them tonight. Just a little bit of a story. You know, what time is that very clock? We have about maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Tale of two teenagers. I met both these guys at the same time, the same day. One was 14, one was 19. They were both, grew up in the same little village, both Shore Indians, 1% right to the bone. Grew up in a place called Tucus Norte. Some of you may have seen it. It's up in the mountains just above the Mother Church. Any of you went to Sakua last year? Did I go last year? Mr. Jeff went. A couple of you others are getting ready to go into the future, right? Nothing special about that. It's just where you guys are helping us get the light. And one day, I thought it was a nice, beautiful day. Perfect Monday. You know anything weird about it? Because we were starting homeschooling our little kids that day. That was the weirdest thing about that day. But I went up in the mountain to help some people out that day. And I met two teenagers. And one flat out tried to have me killed. And the other one flat out tried to save my life. One ran and told his mom and some other guys around the village that I tried to cut his head off. Obviously, you guys don't really know me that well, but I think you would vouch for me, right, that I was not there cutting heads off. Is that right? It was just a flat-out lie. And you know, sometimes that's what the devil does. He just will flat-out lie. To tear you down, to mess you up, get you off course, to distract you, to confuse you, to ruin you, because that's his job. He's the father of lies. The Bible says it. That's what we expect. And that's what that young boy chose to follow. And why he did it, I'll probably never know. I really do hope I'll get to talk to him face to face again someday in a different situation. I found out some things about him, and it really broke my heart, really. His dad was a murderer. His dad's killed, and that's all he's known. He's known a life of chaos. And that day, he decided he was going to lie. I obviously look a little different than they do. I was there in the area, and he just said, "Oh, I'm gonna have some fun with this." Was it demonic? Could have been. Just why would somebody do that? It's bizarre, isn't it? But he stood. They put him nose to nose, this close to me, like this, and they're all screaming and hollering and grabbing their machetes and sticks, and I have no idea why. And they put him nose to nose, and they said, "What did he say?" And he just looked at me and said, "He tried to cut my head off." Well, obviously that started a riot right there. It got crazy real quick. And they started to come around and waving a machete in my face and started pulling everything off me and they're grabbing my head and saying, "Cut his head, cut his ears, cut this guy," because this mountain mentality breaks out like that. And it's a tool of the devil to bring confusion and shut it down. Let me tell you about another young man, 19 years old. In the middle of the chaos, machete swinging, and there I am, it was me, and Jesus. And that was it. And in the middle of the craziness, another teenager jumps in. I never met him before in my life. He had one eye, the other eye was kind of just glassed over. He jumps in the middle of it, and the machete started swinging. And he starts screaming and hollering and punching and wailing his arms, and he just says, take my head, not my pastor." I'm in the middle of this going, I don't even know this kid. He just offered his head with when I say, and it's hard to even convey what that means, every fiber of energy, loudness, screaming, hollering, demonstrative body movement, he jumped in the middle and was defending me with his own life, offering his head for mine, calling me his pastor. I'd never seen this teenager before. So I got two right there. One saying I'm trying to kill him, and the other one defending me with his life. Wow. We got a choice. What side are we going to be on? Are we going to be the one that allows the devil to use us to bring chaos, to bring disruption, to bring darkness, to choose to live in darkness? Are we going to be somebody that steps in and says, "No way, no way. I'm going to fight, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to bring life"? And that kid defended me with his life. You know why he did it? I didn't know at the time. I didn't find some of the details out until after everything kind of settled down in a couple of days. I got to spend that night in jail in Zakua. That was fun. Safest place I could have been. I did take 3 strikes with a machete across the base of my neck, but I'm still here, obviously, so that didn't work. But I found out about that young man. He defended me with his life and called me pastor because when he was a little kid, some team, probably from Alabama, went down to Zakua, like your team did last year, did a VBS, and he went to it. That's it. Simple as that. But the impact made in that little boy's life, a few years later, he's in a situation that either demands a response. A lot of people were getting away from it. They didn't want anything to do with it. He was willing to jump in the middle of it and offer his head for mine. Just because of that connection. And he knew that I was a part of that church. I was a part of that group. I was a part of you guys. I was a part of something bigger than that little scuffle on the mountain that day. He was willing to jump into that, knowing that was truth and that was real, that was life. Blew me away. It helped save my life that day. It gave me some time. It gave me a few, probably 5-10 minutes of life. The whole scuffle, the whole fight took about an hour and a half of craziness. And that young man helped save my life. You never know. You never know what part it can be. A couple things out of that story. Choose what side tonight, what side you're going to be on. What side are you going to fight on? You're going to live in darkness, stay in darkness, and encourage darkness, and be that? Or are you going to willing to step in with your life and say, there's something bigger than this. There's a light. We may not understand it all, and that young man didn't that day, all of it, but he had enough. He knew enough to risk his life for me. Each one of us in this room tonight know enough about who our Savior is, knows enough about what the light is that we're talking about. But we got to make a choice tonight. What's it worth? Being a spectator, hanging out in the back, is that our choice? Or are we getting the fat middle of it? Give it everything we got. There's really only one good answer to that. I've tried them both. You may be there too. Tonight I just want to encourage you and challenge you. Step up and say, what's my decision going to be? What teenager am I going to be? The one that brings chaos, or the one that steps in the middle and says, there's something greater than this. There's a light. You're shining in darkness. That's just want to encourage you with that we get to be a part of this. It's so much bigger than us. It's so much bigger than Vincent. It's so much bigger than Alabama. It's so much bigger than this little farm kid from upstate New York. For me, it started with a missionary. My little church. I went to a little church, little town. And on a Sunday night, a missionary from the Amazon came through, shared his story. He rolled out any kind of snake skin across that altar, probably 20 foot long. And for me, that's the moment that God stuck something in my heart. What's he put in yours? What's he put in yours? It always bothered me when in school, junior high, man, it started even before junior high. People say, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do with your life? You like that question? Nobody likes that question, do you? I mean, maybe 1 out of 100 kids, maybe, but most of us just like, I'm 12, right? You get that feeling? You know what I'm talking about? And then in my school, they came up with this great plan. They said, fill out the sheet, tell us everything about that you'd like to do, and we'll stick it in the computer, and the computer will spit out an answer for your life. Anybody ever try that? Well, mine came out painting airplanes. I swear to God, painting airplanes. That was the answer, the computer's answer for my life. And then when you get older, and then when you go into ministry, which I did a little bit, I went into missions, and then I worked in the church for 20 years, and even in the church, people would say, what are you going to do with your life? And say, what are you called to do? You ever hear that one? What are you called to do? Well, what do you think of when you hear that? What are you called to do? That, to me, sounds like something for the Pope, or a pastor maybe, or Mother Teresa, or something like way up here, right? Called. Like, man, call, that doesn't mean called. I don't know that I'm called to do anything. That's like Moses. It's like Bible study. But then finally, someone asked me the question like this. What makes you come alive? What makes you come alive? And when I was asked that question in a group like this, in less than a half a second, boom, the words were coming out of my mouth. Foreign soil. Because that's what God put in me when I was a little kid, when the missionary passed through. It was a little seed about going to other cultures. National Geographic. That quick. When I say that to you, what makes you come alive? What makes you come alive? It could be cutting hair. It could be playing ball. It could be working on engines. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be in the Bible. It doesn't have to be, let me look through there and find something. Shepherd, I guess. It can be anything. What makes you come alive? What you get excited about? What you like to talk to others about? It could have something. It could be something to do with food. It could be anything. And you know what? I believe that that's stuff that God puts in you for a reason. Just like He put it in me. He put it in me to sleep in the woods, to eat weird stuff, to listen to different languages, to do all this stuff, and now I'm seeing it. All these years later, it makes sense. It didn't always make sense, and I'm glad I didn't end up painting airplanes. But you know what? You put those things in you for a reason. Put those things in you for a reason. Cutting hair? Really? Let me tell you. When I say that, I think of a young girl. She was 18 years old. I met her in Jamaica. I was part of 450 people that were on a medical missionary ship. A hurricane had just ripped apart Jamaica. And at 21 years old, I got to go on this ship in Tampa Bay and sail to Jamaica for 3 months. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Youth with a mission. And we were there to help rebuild, restore that island from the hurricane. And on that ship was a little girl from Houston, Texas. And to be honest with you, I can't remember her name. I just remember she was bubbly and she liked to cut hair. And that's what she did. And man, everybody loved her. Because everybody on the ship, missionaries, they go from port to port. They live out there. Man, their hair's all matted, nasty, all over the place. They don't have money for a haircut, and there's nobody there to do it. And then here's this girl that shows up and says, I'll do that for you. That was her ministry. That was her part of getting the light to the darkness. That was her part. And it was a huge part. It was awesome. That was her part. The mechanic, man, he was 9 stories down in the bottom of that ship, clunking away. He'd come up covered in soot and oil, dirt, and loving life, a big smile on his face, because wow, that's what God put in his heart. And he was giving. He was a part of the team. He was a part of that pit crew. He was part of getting that light up. And that was his job. He was good. Tonight, as I'm talking, you may not be called to be a missionary. That's all right. Maybe all of you are. You may not be called as a youth pastor or worship leader or whatever. He's put some things in you for a reason. We're going to pray about that tonight before we go. The Holy Spirit will just show you a little more, a little more. It doesn't just happen overnight. Listen, I didn't get to step into full-time ministry as a missionary until I was 43 years old. 43. I thought I was doing it at 21. I thought I was gone. I was ready to go into the jungle. I had it all worked out. I already had a teacher teach me Spanish. Had it all worked out. And I didn't get to go for over 20 years later. Sometimes life happens that way. Sometimes it happens that way. We all take different paths. And if you told me at 21 that I couldn't go until I was 43, I would have knocked you right out. I wouldn't want to believe it. But it was all for a reason. And I see that now, and I'm okay with that now. But tonight, I'm asking you, pray about that. Say, what is it, Lord? What do you call me tonight? What do you call me to do? And as you're working that out, you get to be a part of this family right here. You get to be a part of this team. You get to be a part of things like Speed the Light. Wow. Be able to do things that, man, you can't even imagine what you're doing. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures real quick. Flip through a couple of those. We won't spend much time on it. That's my family, by the way. It's my wife, Ashley. Carly, she's in Southeastern. She's a freshman. 17. She's too young to be there, but she's there. Sophia. Hey, who's going to youth convention next week? She's going, she's scared to death. She's only 11 and a half. She's been living over there in the jungle and stuff. Doesn't know a whole lot of people. So if you see her, go up to her and give her a hug. Say, hey, you don't know me, but I know you. And just kind of freak her out a little bit. Her name's Sophia. That is only flip through these pictures real quick. That's the Hope House. That's a girl's home. Each one of those girls has a story that will blow your mind. We can't even get into it now, and I couldn't even tell you. Because we don't want to talk about the personal things they've gone through, just the horrible things that some of them have seen. But now the Hope House is truly giving them hope. For the first time ever, they're coming in a place where they're actually loved, with nothing being asked in return. They're not being passed around between the guys. They're being loved for who they are and who God's made them to be. You guys are part of that. I passed this little girl a year ago, about It takes a day to get to Quito, the capital of Ecuador. It takes another 8 to 10 hours on a bus to get to Sakua, into the jungle. It takes another 2 days from there to get to where I was. There was nobody around, nothing around. And when I saw this little girl out in this canoe, what is she? 10, by herself, not another human being anywhere around. And here she is. And I just had this overwhelming feeling, you know what? That little girl is just as important as my Sophia. Just as important to God. Just as real of a person, a precious soul, a child, as my own kid. Who's going to love her? Who's going to show her the light? Who's going to show her God's love for her? And we just went on by. And it was just, I just couldn't get past it. I had to take a picture and I was like, wow. I think of her all the time. I don't know her name. I don't know if I'll would ever see her again. But that's why we're taking the gospel to every one of these villages. That's why the little boxes that you helped us purchase through Speed Light. That's what it's doing. That's what we get to be a part of. That's one of the Speed Light trucks that you guys helped buy. That was purchased a few years ago. Some of you saw it last year. My personal record with this truck is I carried 40 people in it one day. I had 10 in the front of that. Nursing moms and everything. Go to the next one. I was taking a picture of that tree one morning, way out in the jungle, and I saw something down in this corner. See that? Look at that. There was a man, I met this guy, his name was Pedro, and I went over to him, and I was excited. I'm like, wow, look, he's reading the Bible. He's a Christian, a Schwartz Christian out in the middle of the jungle. Man, I was excited. And then I found out, well, there's a couple problems with that picture. The Bible's in Spanish. He doesn't understand Spanish. But he's so desperate for some answers, he walked all the way about 3.5 hours to get to that village because he heard there was a missionary and a doctor. And he had spiritual needs and physical needs. Spiritual needs, he was so desperate that he's looking at this Bible. And I asked him later, and he doesn't even understand Spanish. But you know what? He doesn't understand his own language either. He can't read his own language. But he was trying. And we sat and talked over breakfast, and look at the next there. We had breakfast there. These are some of the things you'll eat. Yucca, that's the blessed root. They dig out of the ground and they make a little drink in their mouth. You don't spit it and put it in the sun. That's the chicha grapefruit there. Bananas, the fire back there. I sat at that table and talked with Pedro. This was 2.5 years ago that I took that picture of that Pedro. And I was telling him about this little box, Bible in a box. I was telling him about the same one who made the volcano and the rivers and the birds he could hear singing, has a message for him. And he's going to be able to understand it because it's in Schwartz. And he looked at me. He didn't know what to say. And then he said this. God speaks Schwartz. You know, to him, yes. But you know, we didn't have it 2.5 years ago, this box. It was only by faith. Only by faith. But you know what? Faith is doing what you don't have the power to do. I didn't have the power to make that box. I didn't have the power to make it happen. But I was speaking it into action. Some of you right now are thinking, man, I want to be a part of Speak the Light. I want to be able to give. I want to be one of those that do all this stuff, but I can't really do that. I'm only 13, or I don't really have a job, or I got this or that, or you don't understand what my family's going through. I can't do that. But you know what? If you could do it, that's not faith. If you could do it, it's not faith. Faith is in the realm beyond our power. And I found out when I step out into that, man, God's always right there. Look to the next one real quick. This gave me some fire in my belly. That proclaimer in my hand is a Spanish proclaimer. Again, this picture was 3 years ago. Way back in the jungle. See this little thing right here? That's this little kid's grandfather. He's laying there dying. He's got a big open gash wound in his leg. I looked at it, right to his bone. Nasty, looked like just hamburger. And he's dying. And nobody's doing a thing. They've already all said, well, he's dying. And I had the proclaimer that day, and it was in Spanish, and I'm playing it, but you know what? You don't understand it. And I'm waiting there thinking, this guy, I'm right here, got this thing, and I'm going to watch this man die, and I cannot get the gospel message to him. I can't speak his language. Man, that was tough day. That was fuel in my tank right that day. It's like, oh, I'm going to get in this fight. I'm going to get everything I've got. And that's what you're part of. You know what? The American story is this. He's alive today. And now we've got the proclaimer. He made it. God spared his life. That village has a proclaimer. And now he's able to hear the gospel message in his own language. He gets it now. He gets it. He gets it. Spiritually and physically. It's awesome. Go to the next one. These two guys, this is Pedro. That's the guy that was trying to read that Bible that I met in the hut. This was just last year. He came all the way out in the jungle to find me in our village in Sakua. And I saw him, and I couldn't believe he was there. I couldn't believe he came all that way from the jungle. We're talking canoe rides all day and walking forever, and he was having a hard time. And I said, can I come visit you this week? I was on the way to do a service, and he said, yeah, I'm staying up on the hill up here, and we still didn't have the proclaimer. It was still by faith. I was saying, you know, one day it's coming, it's coming. And he'd already been waiting over 2.5 years from the first time I met him. And he said, I'm staying in the village up there, and I said, who are you staying with? I'll come see you tomorrow. He said, Francisco, I cut you. And I knew that name right away. Because the 3 guys that took shots with the machetes across my neck were his 3 sons. I said, oh, perfect, I'll come see you tomorrow. And because Francisco Acachu was a pretty nasty old guy. The first day that I met him that day, he had a machete in my back as well. But on this day, he had to welcome me into his hut because hospitality in their culture says, because I'm going to see a guest of his, he invited me in. It was just one of those divine appointments. And I was able to sit with both of them that day. And I told them again the same story. There's a little black box that's powered by the sun, and it has a message. The creator of the heavens and the earth that made you, and he speaks your language. And one day soon you're going to hear it. Would you like that? And this guy who tried to kill me one day said yes. And on that day he allowed me to pray with him. And then this past Thanksgiving, this past one, the year before, Jonathan and Marissa, my brother-in-law Marissa, the daughter of Jeff and Kathy, came to visit us in Ecuador. And Jonathan and I went up the day after Thanksgiving, and we brought the little black box that finally arrived. And this man, God's love for him. Run to the next one. That's how we get it out. We put it in those watertight bags and go up and down the rivers. Go to the next one. This little girl is 14 years old. She's got a proclaimer now. She's the one in her village that takes care of it and gathers all the kids together and plays it every day after school. And that village now is hearing the gospel every day in their own language. Go to the next one. That's what we do. Just lay hands on it and pray. And I'm going to ask tonight. I've got one with me. Have you heard it yet? Would you like to hear it or not? Not really?
Yes.
What makes this incredible is that they have never heard their language come out of anything before. Only another person's mouth. Most of them. Their language isn't in books and it's not in music and all that stuff. It has just been a oral language passed down for hundreds and hundreds of years. And for them to hear it come out of a little black box, that's pretty interesting. No matter what it is. But then to find out that it's the creator, the heavens and the earth, the one that made them and made everything around them. Wow. Everybody stops. Everybody comes, it's like moth to a flame. Even the witch doctors will come. In villages, they'll come and they have their makeup on and their beads and all their stuff. And they'll come and they'll sit and listen to God's word. This is what they hear. It's like and booming.
Ataque Juan, acá estamos 4.
John 4.
Kama Jesus ka imyakratia formation ang gamas ni Emmanuel awalinaw kama pariseuswa andukal man Jesusya ni kami.
Pretty cool, huh? God speaks for it. God speaks for it. Guys, thank you. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for getting in there. You may never actually go to some of these places, but I hope by seeing these pictures and stories, you're just going to be a part of it. And we're anxious to get back. We're hoping to get back by May, at least this summer. And we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. There's even another tribe that's even further in the jungle. And we're going to get the proclaimer to them as well. We're going to keep going. My family can't do it without you. I'm just part of the team, just like you are. Pastor Cody's just part of the team. But we all got a part of these together. Make a choice tonight. What teenager are you going to be? You can be a spectator. You can be on the field. Are you going to be bringing chaos? Or are you going to be bringing light? Which one do you want to be? Which one do you want to be? Stand your feet for me tonight.